Serious, bullies and ex-bullies of Reddit, when did you first realize that you were a bully? It was in the 5th grade. I was a class clown at the time. I always told jokes and made fun of people. I didn't discriminate, but I usually bullied the weak. So I told a joke and my teacher caught it. I'll never forget the words that came out of her mouth. She said people who make fun and pick on other people are usually the ones hurting inside. Boy, was she right. My family dynamics and upbringing was so tucked up. Single mother with a gambling problem who was never home. Just to give you guys a little background. I didn't stop there though. I was a bully until probably my early 20s. It got better as I got older, but I was an ugly person most of my childhood and teenage years. Lost a couple friends. Now I just tell jokes, but I'm more mild and not as nasty. I'm sorry to all the people that I've hurt. I was a really heavily bullied kid in middle school. This transferred to me trying to be cool and fit in. So there was this one girl that everyone disliked. And I targeted her and picked on her. I apologized to her after the high school graduation ceremony was over, after I finally mustered the balls to go up and do so. Turns out she had forgotten all about it. Whoops. Honestly, it took other people jumping into the rescue and telling me I was being mean. I think a lot of times bullies don't realize they're bullying. That's why calling them out is important. I still struggle with the way I word things. I come off a lot meaner than I intend to. I don't remember the exact time I realized it. It just sort of happened when I finally started dealing with my depression in a healthy way. And I reflected on my high school years and realized what a massive piece of it I was. It's something that I have regretted for a while. I was just incredibly lonely and miserable in high school that I took it out on the weak targets in my school. And pushed one to violence. I'm on much better terms with one of them. But the other moved far away and I can't really contact him. Sometimes bullies are just plain itty people. But a lot of the time, they are dealing with some issues and don't know how to properly deal with or express them, and take them out on others. I realized I was a bully when I found that my victim wasn't laughing along anymore. I pushed a little more and realized I was upsetting them. Hurt me deep inside. I'm not a bad person, and knowing what started off as banter transformed into something nasty hurt me. What hurt me more was not long after I was bullied, and my bully turned people against me. So I know how I made this lad feel. Made it right with him like. And on a night out I punched duck out of my bully, which kept him away from me. But it's a horrible feeling to bully someone. I'm someone who, when taking the piss, like to push that little bit further. Some of my friends who I have known for years can take it, but I'm extra careful now. I was watching the episode of 30 Rock when Liz goes to her high school reunion. Made me realize pretty instantly that there might have been more reasons people didn't talk to me. I realized I was a bully from the 4th grade when I moved, and in my new town people were nice to me because I hadn't done anything stupid to them. I became a much better person. When I made fun of this kid for having 2 moms. Like, what is wrong with having 2 moms? This kid didn't need to be bullied. He wasn't hurting or bothering anyone. Only in my junior year I was a bully. There was this nice blonde girl who was really intelligent. But something about her just pissed me off. Probably for no reason at all. I only realized that I was being a complete ass when the girl who picked on me just 3 years beforehand thought it was hilarious when I made fun of the nice girl for no reason. Then it was like an oh-it realization. I couldn't look at the nice girl in the eyes ever again. I just felt ashamed. My boyfriend finally stood up to me and told me to stop abusing him. I have a complex form of PTSD which results in me having flashbacks and extremely intense emotions of anger and fear. I had never received psychiatric help for this because I was too proud. I hit or threw things at him several times and was regularly verbally abusing him. He finally put his foot down and said enough was enough. I learned my past doesn't dictate my actions now, and that I can't treat people so badly just because I'm struggling to cope with my feelings. I'm in therapy now and we are still dating. He is an angel for forgiving me after how badly I made him feel, and I owe my recovery to him. His endless kindness and compassion saved my life. In grade 9 me and my friends used to hang out all the time. One time another guy tagged along and must have had a pretty good time. because he proceeded to hound us about hanging out all the time and just generally make things pretty bad. At the time I was a total itch to him and we would ditch him in places and he would text us like, "Hey guys, where are you?" Not funny, and bug us to go out all the time and shadow us all the time. Until eventually he got the message a few months later. At the time it felt justified because he was such a buzzkill, but now that I look back on it, he didn't have many friends and was probably just excited to be included in a social group, and I am so ashamed at how I treated him. I could have just put up with a few unfunny jokes and killing cool things in order to be a good person. Even my other friends would comment on how this guy brought the worst out in me, but it wasn't him. It was me. I was wrong. I didn't realize I was a bully until late high school. I previously was very quiet and shy. I just thought I was assertive and funny. I realized it one day after school when a friend had thrown dirt he had saved in his pocket all day into my face as I was waiting for the bus. Also, I never bullied other girls, only cute boys. I'm no longer a bully and I'm very appreciative and thankful for the people around me. That episode of 30 Rock where Liz doesn't want to go to her reunion because she was bullied, and then when she gets there everyone hates her because she was actually the bully. She felt awkward when she was young, so when people genuinely reached out to her, she thought they were mocking her, and so she would make snide comments that she figured no one ever heard, but they actually always did. I never got into fights or anything as a kid, but I'm fairly sure that's basically what happened to me, and no, I won't be attending my reunion. When I was in middle school, I was really mean to this kid Jeremy. I just really didn't like him and he'd always been sort of a D to me, but I thought we were just like mutual enemies. Then his mom calls my mom to say I've been bullying her son to the point of crying every day. I was genuinely shocked. My family is mean as it, especially for a laugh. So that's just what I thought was normal. I apologized to Jeremy, but it was years before I really learned how much of my humor was cruel. I still have to be cautious about what I think is good-natured ribbing. And it's been over 15 years since I was told I was a bully. My mom was furious. By the way, got a whooping I deserved. I got rejected by a girl in grade 10 and asked myself why wouldn't she like me? I took a good hard look at myself and realized that I was not a very good person. I was an asshole. Realization hit me hard and I started working on being a better person. See, I always had good intentions and I would justify my actions based on those intentions. Today, I make sure that I'll leave a positive impression on everyone I meet. I really believe I did a 180-degree change, but it took a lot of self-discipline and effort. Change is possible, but it really requires 100% honest effort. I even messaged the people I bullied years later and apologized. They forgave me instantly because they are better than me. TL. Doctor, I realize that I judge myself by my intentions and others on their actions. I changed that. When I made a girl cry, I was young, plus minus 11 year. We just moved so I had to go to a new school. I guess I wanted to be respected. I never physically hurt anyone, but I would say hurtful things. I hated myself after I realized what I had done. That's also when I realized I wasn't happy with my life. I wasn't comfortable with myself. I never bullied anyone after that accident, but I'm still not happy with my life. I was the recipient of bullying all through elementary and middle school. So when I got to high school I overcompensated and became a giant asshole. 2 years in, somebody actually called me a bully to my face and I had a moment of reflection. Several of the people I messed with in high school are still friends of mine a decade later. Sometimes a bully is born when a stocky but nerdy kid gets a chance to reinvent himself and goes too far. It was when the kid's mom called me at home. She asked to speak to my parents, but they were at work in class etc. Here's the ducked up part. I used to be close friends with him in elementary school but used the intimate details of his life against him. She asked me why I changed, told me what it was doing to him. By the next school year he and I made up. We became again friends through high school and sophomore year of college. I'm lucky he decided to forgive and forget. Duck. I remember being a bully up until grade 10 when I realized I was an asshole because some people were ignoring me, avoiding me, scared of me. When I was a kid, I would pick on a kid who was bigger than me. and he wouldn't do anything about it because he was pussy type. My domination over that guy encouraged me to bully others who were weaker than I am throughout my upbringing. Because of that, I recently realized, being a recent high school graduate, that I was a big asshole. Part of the reason why I kept bullying was because I was the strongest in my class, and I constantly proved it to people to assert my dominance. You could say, I fucking hate what I did. I should have been friendly to people and I should have stopped randomly picking on others. I only had grade 11 and 12 to redeem myself. And you could say that I kind of did. My friends are still my friends, and I have more now. I turned from the bully to the funny guy. Some people are still afraid of approaching me, and I feel the same, as I regret what I did. But some things are meant to be left unattended, I suppose. Most of us were both bullies and bullied. I realized I was a bully when people told me how much I hurt them during my teen years. I didn't even remember doing or saying most of those things, but I did remember others doing and saying things like that to me. I grew up. Some of it I participated in during my youth was really ducking mean, but I did spend some days crying in the morning wondering how I could face those awful people at school. Being bullied by someone else isn't an excuse for bullying others. But the thing that always bothers me about conversations about bullying is that we tend to define bullies as singular people. But when I think back about some of the heinous shit I did to other human beings in school, I also remember all the other people, none of who I would consider bad people, participated in the bullying with me. You tend to remember the bad stuff that was done to you, but none of the bad stuff you do to others. If you're concerned about bullying, look at your own behavior too. Very few kids set out to be a bully, and most are unaware how much their actions affect others. When I was in grade 11 and 12 I used to tease one of my lab partners incessantly. She was a beautiful, friendly and very smart girl named Danielle. I would just do what I thought was pretty benign stuff, like tease her about her work pace, the accuracy of her results, etc. She laughed it off and I thought we got along pretty well until 3 years later when my sister meets her at a house party. My sister comes home and looks at me and says, "What the duck did you do to Danielle?" She and I were in the kitchen and she broke down and cried when she found out you were my brother because you were so mean to her in high school and proceeded to quote the things I used to say to her. So, my bad. Ever since I have always wanted to apologize for my behavior, but haven't seen her since grad. Despite what I thought was friendly ribbing, I was diminishing her own self-respect so much that it affected her into her 20s. This actually makes me wonder if people who were mean to me were just doing the same kinds of things. Regardless, Danielle, wherever you are, I hope you're doing really well. I'm sorry I was mean to you and I hope you can forgive me. Sigh. I am guilty of bullying a very flamboyant, gay kid back in middle school, 7th grade. I was stupid. I had stupid friends with stupid ideas. One day during class, he got up from his seat and left his backpack on the floor. We took a can of 7-Up Sprite and poured it in his backpack. He came back and picked his backpack up to leave and liquid was pouring out of it as he walked away. I could tell he was on the verge of tears when he realized what was happening. I felt ducking awful. I kinda vowed to never pick on anyone again after that. The worst part is that he eventually moved to my neighborhood block and I ended up seeing him every morning for the bus, but we never spoke. I would say little things to him to try and be kind, but he never cared much for me. I don't think he knew that I did it, but something tells me that he was bullied by multiple people, so it was a common occurrence and he just grew a thick shell with everyone. When I was being interrogated by the police in high school, I started a rumor between 2 of my friends. I told each one that the other was talking it about the other. It came to a head one day during lunch. One of the guys, Oscar, was an amateur boxer. It ended badly. Oscar beat the crap out of my other friend. Actually put him in the hospital. Oscar ended up getting expelled and sent to a continuation school. The other guy fully recovered, but Oscar's life was never the same. He fell into drugs, didn't get a diploma, etc. I was just a terrible human being growing up. Have endless stories. Extremely troubled. Not a day goes by that I don't apologize for my actions. I will pay for them one day. As a child, I was forced to hang out with a kid I didn't like. He was my mom's best friend's son. So basically he was involved in my life for various things including family events. My mother would get furious with me when I didn't want to see him because he was bullied at school and didn't have a fatherly figure at home. He was a little clumsy and got made fun of in school for being dyslexic. When I realized I didn't want to be friends with him anymore, I just did what the kids did at school in hopes that he would get tired of me. I was too young and stubborn to realize that it's always good to be friends with somebody who isn't treated fairly because you may be all they've got. He left the school district at the end of 6th grade and I didn't really think much of it until high school. In fact, I was happy that he was gone. I had waited years for the moment because I was tired of getting into countless arguments and getting grounded in plenty of cases with my mom about how I didn't want to be friends with him anymore because he annoyed me. I didn't realize that I was a bully until high school health class when we started learning about bullies and equality. I looked back at all the fun times we had at the ranch his mom's boyfriend owned and realized he wasn't all that bad and didn't deserve my cuntiness. Nothing in my life was causing me to bully him, it just got frustrating being around him so often most of my child years. He was kind of a spoiled brat and I had a couple reasons not to like him, but any mature human being would find a way around the issue. My best friend told me his dad didn't want him to play with me because I was so bossy. We were probably 6 or 7 and ever since I have tried to be conscious of it and tone it down as much as I can. Admittedly I still am bossy, but I wonder how much more so I would be if I hadn't almost lost my best friend over it. I used to get bullied by 3 girls. Then I flipped the tables with violence and I literally gave all 3 a beating every week because they used to bully me every day and I couldn't talk to anyone about it because my home life was a wreck. Then teachers realized and for some reason they were still nice to me. I have now apologized to all 3 girls but they haven't apologized to me. But I don't care. A few years ago I beat up one of them again and that was because of something she said which reminded me of something from home and I flipped out. I apologized so much and sent her a card. I realized being violent doesn't make you any better. In fact, it makes you look weaker cause it makes you look like my dad. I don't wanna be my dad. Nor do I want to be a doormat like my mum. I'm starting college now and I'm happy to say I've found a balance and a better way of dealing with things and a better understanding. Sorry if this doesn't make much sense. It's late here and I'm on my phone. I realized it one night when the guy I used to bully and I were walking home from a party. We saw a car full of books and just started laughing about it, wondering why the hell there was a sedan filled to the brim with books. It became a small inside joke we had. When we split ways, a couple of blocks from each other, I kept thinking about what a great night I had with all of my friends. I lingered on that word because at the heart of my thought, I realized that I wasn't thinking about the fun I had with all of my friends, but rather my one friend with whom I had just spent a few minutes laughing about a bookmobile. This one friend was the same person who I had been exclusionary and horrible to for at least the past 3 years. He was a person who I had intentionally been mean to because I thought he wasn't cool. How in the hell did we become friends? At that point, I developed an extreme guilt. This guy and I are incredibly close now. Every Thanksgiving we split a 6-pack in Central Park and talk about our lives. He's introduced so many awesome things into my life, and we share a deep level of trust and friendship. He is one of my best friends. The guilt has never fully gone away. I've apologized to him time after time, and I believe he forgave me long ago. But sometimes I feel those pangs of guilt, and the sadness that accompanies it. I do not deserve such a great friend, and I cannot imagine the way I used to make him feel. I can only make sure that I never act in a way that might cause a potential friend to feel unwanted or unimportant. When we were talking about high school and I mentioned I'd never been bullied, and then remembering that one time I said that one thing to that one girl, and the other several dozen times, I never connected that saying mean things that caused other people to cry could be considered bullying. I wasn't shoving them in lockers or anything. I had an epiphany in grade 9. I wasn't a bully anymore, but I was in a feud with a girl. I realized that when she called me names it bothered me, and when I called her names it did nothing to make me feel better. So after I put her in a garbage can I stopped being mean to her. Sad to say, but I didn't realize until after an old classmate passed away. Made me think back and realize what a D I was to him. It wasn't me, but my brother. Growing up, he was a bully. He treated people like it. He picked fights. He made people cry. The entire time, he thought they were all just out having fun. The kids who used to laugh at what he was doing often encouraged him to do more and worse. He moved away after high school, but when he came back 4 years later, he did what most do. He tried to look up his old friends. The only thing was, none of them wanted to have anything to do with him. His closest friends from youth told him not to come around. The kids he bullied when he was younger teased him and ridiculed him for not doing anything with his life. He was 22 years old when he realized he was a bully. He died back in August. 2 people came to his funeral. He died all alone. Attention, please keep in mind that the OP of this thread has chosen to mark this post with the serious replies only tag. Therefore, any replies that are jokes, puns, off topic, or are otherwise non-contributory will be removed. If you don't fall within the scope the question is directed to, please do not reply to the question as your comment will be removed. If the question is bakers of Reddit, and you're not a baker, your comment will be removed. All top level replies need to be from someone who is in the group the question was asked to. If you see others posting comments that violate this tag, please report them to the mods. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message composed to =r AskReddit if you have any questions or concerns. I have a very sarcastic sense of humor, especially when I was younger. I would make jokes about people that were pretty mean, mostly just because I enjoyed a good zinger. One of my friends eventually had to leave the school due to other, more serious bullying. But looking back, I realized that my friend had had very few friends in my school and I had been complicit in the unwelcoming environment. Since then, I still have a pretty sarcastic sense of humor, but I try very hard to avoid being sardonic or mean. I used to bully a kid in our elementary school who was Ukrainian and couldn't speak English and was autistic. My friend said it was cool, so we beat him up until he left school. I met him again in high school in gym class. Not many people knew he had a disability and can't play sports very well. So I said duck it and tried my best to help him score the most points, set up the nicest goals and encourage him. At the end of our last class and made eye contact for a couple of seconds and whispered something along the lines of thanks for everything. I bullied my dad and brothers a lot when I was young, 2nd to 6th grade or so. Verbally and emotionally, I would yell at them and try to make them feel as bad as I could, especially my dad. I remember it was goal to make my dad cry. I realized I was being a bully when we picked my older brother from school and the very first thing I said to him was, "Do you know how stupid and annoying you sound? Your voice is the whiniest thing I've ever heard." After he asked how we were doing, I stopped trying after that. I could tell it hurt him. Years later I'm finding out that my dad did the same thing to me. I just don't remember it. So I guess I don't feel too bad about that. I regret what I put my brothers through though. About a year ago, I always thought of physically bullying as terrible but never thought about mental bullying. Getting in someone's head with words and tearing them down from the inside. It really made me change how I treated people. I always think twice before I speak because I don't want to make someone feel like they aren't worth anything. I realized I was at the time. The thing is, I didn't know how to stop it. I was from 1st to 4th grade and would just blank out with rage. My worst memory was fighting with a kid because he just wanted his kickball back. It hurts and almost brings me to tears. The anger and sadness that kid must have felt has stuck with me for years. I feel so bad and don't know if I'll ever get to talk to him again. I'm much better now and make a point to try to be nice as possible. I thought I was being his friend since no one else ever talked to him. But then I realized that everything I ever said to him was pretty much just a mean-hearted jab at him. If you're reading this, I'm sorry, Sean. When I noticed I was constantly picking on someone just to get him to fight back or react. I used to pick on this one guy years back. I did it to fit in with my then group of friends. One day I realized something though. I have more in common with the people I'm picking on. They were much nicer people despite me being an asshole. I became mates with the person I picked on and started hanging out with his friends, and fast forward 10 years or so and we're still friends. I made the right choice. I was a bully in middle school because I had a mean sense of humor and I also had friends that would laugh at my bullying. So I didn't even know I was an asshole. When I got to high school I lost most of my friends because I changed to a different area and people were the ones being mean to me. That's when I thought, is this what I've been doing all this time? So I found out I used to be a bully. But it helped me understand both sides, the bullies and the victims. I learned I was a bully when the older brother of kid who I was picking on broke a broom handle over my back. That was 3rd grade. I wish it had happened in 1st so I would have stopped earlier. I was desperate for acceptance and attention, and bullying seemed to attract some girls. So I would just be a D to everyone so I could get some poon.